So Assetto Corsa finally added their first real-life American circuit to the game in the form of Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. I say finally because I am on the Xbox One platform and we get our updates at least 2 months behind the PC Master Race. Just build a PC, bro, the comment section says in unison. But today we are going to simulate some American-style racing. The car you are looking at here is the Tatuus F3 car. Now you may say, well, F3 isn't really that big in the United States, but I'll tell you what kind of is, anyway, is the Mazda Road to Indy. Of course, that's the aptly titled name of this video. And the category that this Tatuus F3 car most resembles is the Pro Mazda category, which for this season has switched to a very similar car, which is also built by Tatuus. So we are going to be doing a 10-lap race here at the iconic Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. And to add a little bit of realism to the event, I have changed the names of the AI drivers to the names of the current Pro Mazda drivers. Now, because of the fact that it is the Mazda Road to Indy, unfortunately we didn't have enough modern drivers to fill a 16-car grid, so I added 2 of the legacy drivers from last season, the first 2 drivers who were in the point standings, Anthony Martin, who finished second, and Victor Franzone, who won the championship and will be in Indy Lights this year. As you can see, Parker Thompson is on the front row. Askew, who is kind of one of the top prospects in open-wheel racing at the moment. We qualified 13th. It seems like Renius VK didn't really have a good qualifying session. He must have crashed out. So we're going to be rolling off the grid 13th. We're going to see if we can move up through the field and stake our claim in the road to Indy. Here we go. So here we are on the grid at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, ready for the standing start, because that's the only option we've got in Assetto Corsa. The lights are on, the lights are off, the clutch is dumped, and we're underway here in Laguna. Nice start. Definitely took a bit of a risk there going 3 wide, but it paid off because we've got a nice little opening through the first corner and down into the Andretti hairpin for the first time. Everything fairly cold, so we've got to be careful. I kind of got a little too late on the brakes there. Thankfully, didn't make any contact with anybody. Definitely making up some good spots here on the opening couple of corners. Got to be careful. Car pushing it. Well, that car pushed even further out than I did, and there's contact and a spin. Not sure if I forced him into that mistake or not, but we definitely have a little bit of space behind us now. So I guess I can talk about the fact that this track is laser scanned and it is beautiful. Maybe the best version of Laguna Seca that I have been on in sim racing, and that's including the iRacing version of it, which I've played a few times. Now up to the very famous corkscrew. And this corner is very, very difficult to get right in this game. But I did it pretty well there. And now we've got to start chasing down some of these Road to Indy drivers. We're going to go way wide. That was very risky. You get these S-curves leading up to the hairpin are very, very tricky, and if you miss your apex, you are going straight into the gravel, over the curbs into the gravel, I should say. But it's kind of interesting, because this track is laser scanned, it just kind of differs from those tracks you see in other games that aren't laser scanned, at least in terms of Laguna Seca. It always seems like this track always gets wider when it's laser scanned. It feels a lot wider in this game or in iRacing than it does in like Forza or Gran Turismo or even Project Cars. I don't think Project Cars' version of Laguna is laser scanned either. So it always just feels a little bit wider in the games where it's laser scanned. And that's kind of interesting because stuff like the Nordschleife, when they don't laser scan it, it feels a lot wider than when they have gone and laser scanned it, and then suddenly it feels very, very narrow. Kind of interesting how perspective works versus reality. So that was a nice corner through there. That's, like I said, the one the AI kind of struggle with a lot of the time. And they don't really struggle a whole lot with the corkscrew, even though I certainly struggle with it a bit. Let's see if we can get this S corner right. A little bit of a lift there just to keep the car from pushing out too wide. Oh, see, there you go. Off into the gravel. I missed that apex, and then off the edge of the world I go. Thankfully, I didn't try to cowboy the car. I just kind of let it go over the curb and then recover it when it was a little bit more stable, but we definitely lost some time there, which is no bueno. And Parker Thompson is absolutely laying it down right now, so this game is predicting that Parker Thompson is going to be pretty strong in the upcoming Pro Mazda Championship. We'll see if it's if that rings true, but we definitely have some challenge from behind now that we've screwed up. But I definitely got through that corner very nicely. I do love this section of the track. This is actually a newer section of the track. Laguna Seca actually used to have a much faster layout, and all those corners past the first one are relatively new, and by relatively new I mean like they're new for 1976 or something like that. I don't remember when they actually put in those corners. But maybe I should pay a little more attention to my braking zones when talking about the history of the track. But we definitely got through that corner pretty well. Still missing my apex in that one, but it was a little bit better that time. Remember, only a 10-lap race, so we've got to try to go for it when we can. Definitely played with fire coming out of the hairpin there. I definitely used a ton of the curbs on the exit, but the car held together. Parker Thompson again spitting fire with these fast laps. But I got a decent exit off the Andretti hairpin. Under the Cooper tire bridge. Into this corner, which I like quite a bit. It's flat out in some cars. It's not quite flat out in this car. Fourth gear, just couldn't quite catch that apex the way I would have liked to. Definitely lost a little bit of time, or left a little bit of time on the table there. Ooh, that's a lot of curb usage. Thankfully they pave a lot of the immediate runoff on this track because the bikes use it. So this track has a little bit more runoff than your typical American track, because there is a MotoGP race here, or at least used to be. I don't remember if it still runs here. I think it does, unless they've completely moved everything to COTA, which wouldn't surprise me. But that was a poor entry to the hairpin, and now we've got some challenge from behind. Got to be very crafty here to hold on to this. The back end locked up a little bit, but I held on to it. A little bit of curb usage on the exit. Down a gear. Just hold on to it, David. This section of the course I'm good in, so hopefully we can put a little bit of distance between us and those cars behind me. It's a group of 3 of them. So if one of them gets around me, that's probably going to mean several of them are going to get around me. That was a good run through there. Again, just using some of these high-speed corners. They seem to be okay. That was definitely better through there. I probably could have used a little bit more guts going through there. Almost felt like I had a little bit left to use on the exit. That nice apex into the corkscrew, and then a nice run through. So let's work on my worst section of the track. Mazda Road to Indy, all about learning. That's what we're going to try to do. Oh, and we're learning that that corner is my worst one. Again, using a little too much of the curb. If you use too much of the curb, you catch the sausage curbs that are underneath or behind the big, or the regular blue and white curbs. And if you hit those things in an open wheel car, it will almost automatically spin you out. And a lot of times it'll throw your car up into the air. So we definitely got a bit of a truly train happening behind us. So we need to just stop looking like a wanker and really go for it. AI aggression is on 100, or not 100%, it's on 80%. The AI are set at the alien difficulty. but I find the alien difficulty is fairly tame compared to like Project Cars 2 at 120. That's a bit difficult, but here you can definitely hang with them. Even though, as you see, the guys in front of me have absolutely pulled away at this point. But if we run some clean laps, I think we can run them down. That was not clean. That was not clean. Grabbed a little too much brake coming up the corkscrew. And that was just asking for trouble, but we did have a good run through there. Still just not hitting that apex at that corner. If I could hit that corner just right, I think I'd be in really good shape for a really, really spectacular lap, but right now, we're still struggling with that. We head over the brow of the hill. Such great elevation change in this track. I think a lot of people, especially 90s kids like myself, were definitely introduced to this track by Alex Zanardi, but we definitely learned it in games like Gran Turismo 3, Gran Turismo 4, and even further down the line like Forza and stuff. And it definitely helps your love of the track when you've done thousands and thousands of laps of it. And I definitely feel like this is one of my stronger tracks, I guess, in the sim racing world. Every time there's an online event that I join at this track, I always feel like I'm pretty confident that if I'm not going to win, I'm going to do pretty well. Road Atlanta is another one that I really feel confident at. And it's kind of a similar track to this one. Lots of elevation change, lots of mid to high speed corners, just a couple of hairpins. And it will punish you if you don't respect it. And I think that's something that a lot of people like about American road racing, is that our tracks have still have teeth. They've taken the teeth away from a lot of the European circuits that are maybe more well-known or maybe have bigger events. They're even neutering Le Mans to an extent, which is kind of disappointing to me. They're paving so much of the track now that it's kind of taking away some of the mystique of Le Mans, but oh well. What can you do? So we're just kind of hanging behind this car ahead of us. We just can't quite get up there to do battle. Oh, that was, again, I was maybe a little too confident through there that time. And that's way too confident. Way too confident. Hello. Oh, I guess they're just going to stop for me? Thanks. No, they're not. Well, as it turns out, as we're heading to the last lap, I'm not actually last. Some of the cars came into the pits for whatever reason. So we'll run this last lap here and bring it home 14th, at least, unless there's another issue, which would definitely help my cause here. But yeah, I'm glad I could show off a little bit of Assetto Corsa. I finally got this to work, this game to work with my G920. Now I'm going to have to break it to you folks that you're going to have to invest in a new pedal set if you want it to work on Xbox One. Thankfully for me, I already had a G27 wheel, and the pedals work with my G920. So that definitely helped me because I could just hook these pedals up and they work. I just had to make sure that I used them a little bit because they got some dust in between the pedals and the brake and throttle weren't picking up properly, but once I worked the dust out of them, these pedals work just fine. But I have to say once again, kudos to Kunos, if that makes any sense, for this track, because I think they really did a good job, and we're about to crash the corkscrew again. Remember what I said earlier, how the corkscrew was definitely the bugaboo for me on this track? Well, as it turns out, it was my undoing. And I thought it would be this corner. Well, we're just going to drive. I absolutely was crossed up with the wheel that time just to get it to turn. But we'll come through the hairpin, onto the main straightaway, and we'll take the checkered flag here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. So Parker Thompson took the win over Anthony Martin and Rafael Martins. Oliver Askew was 4th, and down through the rest of the field, we finished 14th. Antonio Serval and Rines VK must have been the 2 drivers involved in either running into me down the corkscrew, or they were the ones who were in the first lap accident and thus did not finish. In fact, yes, they were in the first lap accident because they didn't even complete one single circuit. So that was Pro Mazda-ish on Assetto Corsa, but more importantly, it was Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, and I had quite a bit of fun making this video, even though I ran out of talent in the corkscrew on lap number 8 and crashed out, predictably. But hey, it's a learning experience, and that's what it's important about, right guys? It's not about winning, it's about learning. Well anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. Be sure to tune in and subscribe for more motorsport content. We'll see ya in the next video.